Imagine you were standing at the edge of a busy street, surrounded by the sounds of cars honking, people talking, and the constant rush of life. You feel a sense of unease, your heart racing as your mind darts from one thought to another. The pressure to keep up, the worry about what others think, the fear of what might happen next, these thoughts begin to spiral, and before you know it, anxiety takes hold. Now, think about this. How often do you find yourself overwhelmed by these anxious thoughts in your daily life? Perhaps it's a worry about your job, your health, or the future. Or maybe it's the constant fear of not being good enough or making the wrong choices. Do you sometimes feel trapped in your own mind, wondering how to find peace amidst the chaos? The truth is, you're not alone. Anxiety affects so many of us, yet we rarely talk about it. But what if there was a single thought, a simple shift in perspective, that could change everything for you? What if that thought could help you break free from the grip of anxiety and lead you towards inner peace? This video is here to guide you on that journey. Together, we'll explore how one powerful thought, rooted in ancient Buddhist wisdom, can completely transform your approach to anxiety and bring calm into your life. Stay with me, and I promise you'll walk away with valuable insights that you can start applying right away. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we share transformative teachings and practical advice that can change the way you experience the world. If you're ready to unlock the wisdom that will help you end anxiety once and for all, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and join our community. Drop down your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Let's dive in and discover the one thought that can truly change everything. The origin of anxiety and the Buddhist mind. When we talk about anxiety, it's important to understand where it comes from. In the Buddhist tradition, anxiety isn't just a random feeling. It's a result of deep-rooted patterns in our mind. But what exactly are these patterns? And why do they keep us stuck in cycles of worry, fear, and unease? Let's start with the basics. Buddhism teaches us that everything in our life is connected to our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Every moment we experience is shaped by our mind. But here's the catch. Most of us don't fully understand how our minds work. We think we are simply reacting to the world around us. But in reality, it's our mind that is creating the world we see and feel. This is the root cause of anxiety. You see, our minds are often filled with a constant flow of thoughts. Some of these thoughts are useful, while others are not. The harmful ones, the ones that trigger anxiety, are usually linked to fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of being out of control. These fears are not always based on reality. They are projections of our mind, fantasies we create from past experiences or imagined future outcomes. We fear things that haven't even happened yet, and this fear clouds our judgment, making it difficult to be present in the here and now. Now, let's talk about one of the key ideas in Buddhism, the concept of attachment. Attachment is the deep, subconscious desire to hold on to things, people, or outcomes. It's the belief that we need something outside of ourselves in order to feel safe or complete. When we're attached to something, whether it's a job, a relationship, a goal, or even an idea of who we think we should be, we set ourselves up for suffering. Why? Because nothing in this world is permanent. Things change. People change. Situations change. And when they do, we feel anxiety. We fear that we will lose what we love, or that we won't be able to control the changes that come. Buddhism teaches us that this attachment is the root of our anxiety. We crave things to stay the same, and when they don't, we panic. This feeling of loss or fear of losing something creates anxiety within us. Think about it. When you are attached to a certain outcome, you constantly worry about what will happen if that outcome doesn't occur. The mind races, making endless scenarios of failure, disappointment, or harm. Anxiety arises from this lack of acceptance of the ever-changing nature of life. This is where the Buddhist concept of impermanence becomes so important. Impermanence is the understanding that everything is always changing. Our bodies, our minds, the people we love, and the world we live in, everything is in a constant state of flux. When we accept this truth, we begin to see that attachment only brings suffering. Because when things change, as they inevitably will, we experience anxiety, pain, and fear. But here's the beautiful part of this teaching. Once we understand impermanence, we can learn to let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or becoming indifferent. It means releasing our grip on things and allowing them to be as they are. It means understanding that we can experience life fully without needing to control every single detail. This shift in perspective is key to overcoming anxiety. When we learn to let go of our attachment to fixed outcomes, we free ourselves from the cycle of worry. We stop living in constant fear of the future, and instead, we begin to embrace the present moment. And it's in this present moment where true peace lies. Imagine for a moment, you are no longer ruled by the fear of what might happen. You stop worrying about what others think of you, or whether you are living up to some expectation. You begin to see that life, with all its ups and downs, is not something to control or fear. It is simply something to experience. In this shift, anxiety begins to lose its grip. But letting go isn't always easy. Our minds are powerful, and old habits die hard. The fear of loss, the desire for control, and the urge to hold on to things, these are deep-seated patterns that take time to change. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Step by step, day by day, we can begin to loosen the hold that attachment has on us. We can start to experience life with more openness, more flexibility, and more freedom. In Buddhist practice, one of the most powerful ways to release attachment is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about being fully aware of what's happening right now, without worrying about the past or the future. When we practice mindfulness, we start to notice how often our minds get caught in anxious thoughts about things we cannot control. And with this awareness, we begin to see that we don't need to hold on to these thoughts. We can let them go. As you begin to explore this path of letting go, you might notice that anxiety still comes up from time to time. That's okay. The goal is not to eliminate anxiety entirely, but to understand its origin and how it operates in your mind. Once you recognize that anxiety comes from attachment, fear, and the desire to control, you can begin to shift your perspective. You can start to change the way you react to these feelings. Remember, this isn't about forcing yourself to stop feeling anxious. It's about understanding why you feel that way and gently guiding your mind toward a place of acceptance. Acceptance that life is unpredictable, that change is inevitable, and that you don't have to control everything in order to find peace. In the end, the key to overcoming anxiety is not about eliminating fear or worry entirely, but about changing your relationship with them. When you stop seeing anxiety as an enemy to fight, and instead as a signal to let go and trust in the flow of life, you begin to experience true freedom. You start to see that you can live with anxiety without being consumed by it. You can live fully, deeply, and peacefully, knowing that you are not at the mercy of your thoughts or fears. As you continue on this journey, remember that change takes time. Be patient with yourself. The path of letting go is not a quick fix, it is a lifelong practice. But with every small step, you will find yourself more at peace, more present, and more connected to the world around you. And slowly but surely, you will begin to see that the root of anxiety can be uprooted, and that a peaceful mind is always within reach. Breaking the illusion of control. Imagine you are holding a cup of hot tea in your hand. The tea is steaming, the warmth soothing against your skin. You raise the cup to your lips and take a sip, savoring its gentle flavor. For a moment, you are completely present, lost in the simplicity of the experience. But then, your mind begins to wander. You start to think about all the things you need to do, the problems you need to solve, the decisions you have yet to make. Suddenly, the peaceful moment is gone, replaced by a flood of thoughts, worries, and anxieties. What happens next? You start to feel the weight of these thoughts. They pull you in, making you feel as though you are drowning in them. You try to control the thoughts, to push them away, but the more you resist, the stronger they seem to become. The more you try to control the situation, the more it seems to slip from your grasp. You begin to realize something important. The harder you try to control your thoughts, the more out of control you feel. This is the illusion of control. It is the belief that we can somehow manage every aspect of our lives, that we can control our thoughts, our emotions, and even the outcomes of the events around us. We think that by holding on tight, by managing everything with precision and certainty, we will find peace. But the truth is, the more we try to control everything, the more we suffer. The Buddha, in his teachings, spoke of the suffering that arises from attachment. Attachment is not just about clinging to people or things, but also about clinging to our need for control. We become attached to the idea that we should be able to predict and manage every aspect of our lives, that we should be in charge of our thoughts and emotions. And when things don't go according to plan, when we can't control the outcomes, we feel anxiety, frustration, and fear. In this way, our need for control becomes a source of suffering. The more we hold on, the more we struggle. And the more we struggle, the more we feel overwhelmed. This is where anxiety grows. It grows from the belief that we should have control over things that, in reality, are beyond our power. But what if there is another way? What if, instead of trying to control everything, we allowed ourselves to simply be? What if we let go of the need to control our thoughts and emotions and simply observe them as they arise, without judgment or resistance? This is the essence of mindfulness, a practice taught by the Buddha to help us break free from the cycle of suffering. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present, of observing our thoughts and emotions without trying to change or control them. It is the practice of acknowledging whatever arises in our minds without getting caught up in it. It is the ability to simply be aware, without the need to fix, change, or control. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see the truth. Our thoughts and emotions are not ours to control. They come and go, like clouds drifting across the sky. Sometimes, they are heavy and dark, other times light and airy. But no matter what form they take, they are not permanent. They are fleeting, like the weather. And just as we cannot control the weather, we cannot control our thoughts. The more we accept this truth, the less power our thoughts and emotions have over us. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. We are so used to trying to control everything that letting go can feel like we are losing something. But in reality, it is the opposite. We are gaining freedom. By letting go of the illusion of control, we are opening ourselves to the present moment. We are allowing ourselves to experience life as it is, without the need for it to be any different. This doesn't mean that we stop making decisions or taking action. It doesn't mean that we stop caring about our responsibilities or our well-being. It simply means that we stop trying to control every outcome, every thought, every feeling. We let go of the need to force things to be a certain way. Instead, we focus on the process, on being present in each moment, and trusting that life will unfold as it is meant to. When we let go of the need to control, we begin to experience a sense of peace. We stop fighting against ourselves and against the world around us. We start to accept things as they are, without resistance. This acceptance does not mean resignation. It means allowing life to flow naturally, without interference. We begin to trust that, even when things don't go the way we expect, we will still be okay. We will still find our way. This shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. It doesn't happen overnight, and it requires practice and patience. But as we begin to break free from the illusion of control, we start to experience the freedom that comes with surrender. We start to feel lighter, less burdened by the weight of our thoughts and anxieties. And with each passing day, we find ourselves more at peace with who we are, with where we are, and with the way life unfolds. So, when you feel anxious or overwhelmed, remember this: you don't have to control everything. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to have all the answers. All you need to do is let go. Let go of the need to control your thoughts, your emotions, and your circumstances. Allow yourself to simply be, and trust that in doing so, you will find the peace you've been searching for. It's not easy. It's not always comfortable. But it is the path to freedom. It is the path to ending anxiety. And it is the path to true inner peace. So, take a deep breath, and let go of the illusion of control. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You are already enough, just as you are. The power of present moment awareness. Imagine for a moment that you are walking down a quiet path in the woods. The sun is gently shining, casting warm rays through the trees, and the only sound you hear is the soft rustling of leaves in the breeze. As you walk, your mind begins to wander, perhaps to something that happened earlier in the day, or something you're worried about for the future. But then, something shifts. You stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and fully embrace the present moment. You notice the feeling of the earth beneath your feet, the crisp air filling your lungs, and the beauty of the surrounding nature. In that moment, everything slows down, and you feel at peace. This is the power of present moment awareness. It's the ability to bring your attention fully into the now, to stop the endless stream of thoughts and focus on what is happening right in front of you. And in that presence, something incredible happens. Anxiety fades away. The problem with anxiety is that it's often rooted in either the past or the future. We worry about what has already happened or fear what is yet to come. We replay old mistakes in our minds, or we get caught up in the uncertainty of what might happen tomorrow. But in the present moment, none of those worries exist. There's only the here and now. It's a space where we can experience life exactly as it is, without the filter of fear or regret. When we practice present moment awareness, we train our minds to stop chasing after the past or the future. We learn to rest in the simplicity of the present, where there is no need to control everything, no need to be perfect, and no need to worry about what might go wrong. In that space, anxiety can no longer hold its power over us. We begin to realize that we can be okay, just as we are, right here, right now. The Buddhist teachings speak often about the importance of mindfulness, which is simply being aware of what's happening in the present moment. It's about observing our thoughts without judgment, recognizing when our mind has wandered, and gently guiding it back to the present. This practice helps us disconnect from the constant chatter of the mind and find peace in the simplicity of the moment. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced anywhere, at any time. You don't need to go on a retreat or sit in silence for hours. It can happen in the midst of your daily life, as you go about your tasks, or even when you're in the middle of a stressful situation. The key is to bring your attention to the present moment, without getting lost in the past or future. Take, for example, a simple act like drinking a cup of tea. When you're truly present, you can notice the warmth of the cup in your hands, the steam rising from the surface, the rich aroma of the tea, and the sensation of the liquid flowing down your throat. In that moment, there is no need to rush or worry about anything else. You're simply experiencing the tea, and in doing so, you're experiencing life. It's in these small moments of mindfulness that we begin to break free from the hold of anxiety. Anxiety thrives on distraction. It feeds on our tendency to be constantly looking ahead or looking back. But when we are fully present, anxiety has no room to grow. We stop giving it attention, and in doing so, we reclaim our peace. Now, you might be wondering, but what if I can't stop my mind from racing? What if I keep getting pulled back into worry and fear? That's completely normal. The mind is like a wild horse. It's naturally restless and difficult to control. But that doesn't mean we give up. Just like with any skill, mindfulness takes practice. It's not about achieving perfection. It's about becoming more aware and more patient with ourselves as we learn. One of the simplest ways to practice mindfulness is through breathing. Focus on the sensation of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. Notice the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen with each breath. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to your breath. It's like training a muscle. At first, it might feel difficult, but over time, it becomes easier, and the benefits grow. The more you practice present moment awareness, the more you begin to notice how much of your anxiety is tied to thoughts that are either in the past or the future. You start to see that much of what you worry about has no real basis in the present. It's all a projection of your mind. When you bring your awareness back to the here and now, you begin to understand that the present moment is all you ever truly have. In this space of presence, you can experience life with greater clarity and calmness. You can respond to situations with a clear mind, rather than reacting out of fear or stress. And, most importantly, you can begin to let go of the need to control everything. Life is unpredictable, and trying to control every aspect of it only leads to more anxiety. But when you learn to be present, you let go of the need for control and allow life to unfold as it is. It's important to remember that mindfulness isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process of training your mind to stay in the present. And just like any other skill, you will face challenges along the way. But the key is to keep coming back to the present moment again and again. Every time you do, you're one step closer to breaking free from the cycle of anxiety. So, what happens when you fully embrace present moment awareness? The answer is simple: peace. In the present moment, there is no anxiety. There is no fear. There is only what is. And in that space, you can find a deep sense of calm and contentment. Anxiety may still arise from time to time, but it will no longer have the power to control you. You will know that you are not your thoughts, and that the present moment is always available to you, no matter what is happening in your life. The practice of mindfulness is a gift that allows you to step out of the chaos of your thoughts and into the quiet stillness of the present. And in that stillness, you will find the peace that you've been searching for all along. The role of attachment in our suffering. In the stillness of a quiet moment, have you ever wondered why it's so difficult to let go? Why we cling to things, ideas, and even people, even when we know they no longer serve us? The truth is, attachment is one of the primary sources of our suffering. It is something that we hold on to tightly, often without realizing how much it controls us. The more we attach ourselves to something, the more we create a sense of fear around losing it, and in that fear, anxiety grows. Think about it for a moment. When you have something you truly care about, doesn't the fear of losing it start to overshadow the joy it once brought you? Maybe it's your career, your relationships, or even your material possessions. At first, these things bring happiness, but over time, as we become attached, we begin to feel anxiety creeping in. The thought of losing them becomes unbearable, and it clouds our sense of peace. We end up chasing after things that aren't permanent, hoping they'll give us a sense of security. But the nature of life is impermanence. Everything changes, and nothing lasts forever. Attachment is like a chain that binds us to the past or to an imagined future. When we focus too much on holding on, we lose sight of the present moment. And it's in the present moment that true peace can be found. Our attachment to the past, whether it's regret or nostalgia, stops us from experiencing the peace of now. Similarly, our anxiety about the future, whether it's fear or anticipation, keeps us from living fully in the present. Buddhism teaches us that attachment arises from the mistaken belief that we can control the uncontrollable. We believe that by holding on, we can create stability in our lives. But the more we try to control, the more we invite suffering. The first step in breaking free from attachment is to understand that nothing is truly under our control. We cannot control people, we cannot control the future, and we cannot control the outcomes of our actions. All we can control is how we respond to the unfolding of life. The Buddha spoke about this often, reminding us that attachment to anything, whether it be a person, a material object, or even an idea, leads to suffering. This doesn't mean that we should stop caring about things or people. It means we need to shift our perspective. Instead of clinging to them as though they define us or our happiness, we can learn to appreciate them without becoming attached. We can enjoy the things in our life, but recognize that their presence or absence does not define our sense of peace. Consider the example of a beautiful flower. When you first see it, you might feel a sense of awe and joy. But if you try to hold on to it, if you try to make it last forever, you will soon realize that the flower will fade and wither. The beauty of the flower lies in its impermanence, in the fact that it is fleeting. If we can learn to see life in the same way, beautiful, precious, but fleeting, we can begin to let go of our attachment to it. We can enjoy the moment without trying to hold it forever. It's not easy to break free from attachment. We've been conditioned by society, by our upbringing, and by our own fears to believe that we must hold on tightly to what we have. But in doing so, we actually create more suffering for ourselves. The key is to practice mindfulness, to be aware of when we are attaching ourselves to something, and to gently let go. It doesn't mean we stop caring or stop pursuing goals, but it means we stop attaching our happiness to the outcome. We learn to trust that whatever happens, we can remain at peace, knowing that life will unfold as it should. One way to practice letting go is by reflecting on the impermanence of everything around us. Look at the changing seasons. The flowers bloom, and then they wither. The leaves fall, and new ones grow. The cycles of life continue, whether we want them to or not. By observing this natural flow, we can begin to understand that our attachments are just as temporary. They come and go, and our happiness does not have to depend on them. Another way to practice is through meditation. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. As you inhale and exhale, notice any thoughts or emotions that arise. You may find that you are attached to certain thoughts about your past, your future, or your fears. When you notice this attachment, simply acknowledge it without judgment and let it go. With practice, you will begin to develop a deeper sense of inner freedom, a freedom that comes from not being tied to anything outside of yourself. As you move through life, remember that attachment is not a sign of love or care. It is a sign of fear. We fear that if we let go, we will lose what we love, but in truth, it's in letting go that we find peace. By releasing our attachments, we create space for more love, more joy, and more peace to enter our lives. It's in this space that we discover the beauty of impermanence and the serenity that comes from embracing life just as it is, without trying to control it. So, when anxiety arises, take a moment to reflect on your attachments. What are you clinging to? What fears are driving your anxiety? And how can you begin to let go? The more we practice this, the less power attachment has over us, and the more peace we can experience in our daily lives. In the end, the one thought that can free you from anxiety is this: nothing is permanent, and nothing is truly yours to hold on to. The more we embrace the flow of life, the more we can find true peace and freedom. It's not about giving up on the things we care about, but about learning to hold them lightly, knowing that they are not the source of our happiness. The source of our happiness lies within us, in the peace that comes from letting go. Cultivating equanimity through the middle way. Imagine walking through a thick forest, the trees towering above you, and the path narrowing with every step you take. You find yourself caught between two extremes. One side, the ground is too soft and unstable, and on the other side, the earth is too hard and unyielding. Neither path feels right, yet you know you must keep walking. The trick is not to force yourself to pick one extreme over the other, but to find the middle ground, the path that balances both, allowing you to move forward with ease. This is the essence of equanimity, the ability to remain balanced and composed in the face of life's ups and downs. In the Buddhist tradition, equanimity is not about avoiding difficult emotions or experiences. Instead, it's about learning how to respond to them with a calm, clear mind, without being swept away by the storm of feelings, desires, and distractions that can often overwhelm us. Equanimity is a practice, much like a muscle that needs to be exercised and strengthened. But why does it matter so much? Why is it so crucial for overcoming anxiety and finding peace? Let's start by considering the nature of anxiety. Anxiety often arises when we become attached to certain outcomes or feel a need to control the uncontrollable. We worry about what will happen in the future, or we regret something in the past. We want things to go a certain way, and when they don't, we experience fear, stress, and frustration. But here's the thing: life is full of uncertainty, and no amount of worry or control will change that. The more we fight against this truth, the more we feed our anxiety. The Buddha understood this. He taught that suffering arises from attachment and craving, the desire for things to be a certain way or for life to be predictable and comfortable. These attachments keep us trapped in a cycle of wanting and fearing, and no matter how much we try to control them, they continue to rise and fall like waves in the ocean. Now, the middle way, which the Buddha discovered and taught, offers a solution to this struggle. It's a way of living that avoids the extremes of indulgence and denial. On one hand, there is the extreme of wanting everything to go perfectly, of trying to control every outcome and manipulate the world around us. On the other hand, there's the extreme of giving up, of resigning ourselves to the belief that nothing matters and that we're powerless in the face of life's challenges. The middle way invites us to find a balanced approach, one that recognizes the reality of impermanence, uncertainty, and change, without falling into despair or obsession. When we practice equanimity, we are practicing the middle way. We learn to hold our desires, fears, and anxieties in a way that allows us to experience them without becoming overwhelmed by them. Imagine the next time you feel anxious. Instead of trying to push those feelings away or control them, you simply acknowledge them. You breathe in and you breathe out. You let the feeling of anxiety come and go, like waves that rise and fall on the shore. You don't need to fight against it. You just observe it with a sense of calm awareness. And in that moment, you regain control, not over the situation itself, but over your own response to it. This is where the power of the middle way truly lies. It teaches us to let go of the need to control everything, to surrender our attachment to outcomes, and to accept that life is full of change and unpredictability. By doing so, we free ourselves from the constant battle with anxiety and suffering. We learn to be present, to accept what is, and to move through life with grace and ease. But cultivating equanimity is not always easy. It requires patience, mindfulness, and a willingness to let go of deeply ingrained habits and patterns. Our minds are often pulled in 1,000 different directions towards our desires, our fears, our hopes, and our worries. We can easily get caught up in these mental storms, believing that they define us or that we must react to them immediately. But true equanimity comes from observing these thoughts without identifying with them, from understanding that they are temporary and that we don't have to be controlled by them. A simple but powerful practice for cultivating equanimity is mindfulness meditation. By sitting in stillness, focusing on the breath, and observing our thoughts as they arise, we begin to create space between ourselves and our emotions. Instead of reacting automatically to every thought, we learn to pause, to breathe, and to respond with clarity. In time, this practice helps us develop a deep sense of inner balance, a peace that is not dependent on external circumstances but comes from within. It's important to remember that equanimity doesn't mean being emotionless or detached. It's not about suppressing our feelings or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Instead, it's about finding a peaceful, steady center within ourselves, no matter what is happening around us. It's about allowing ourselves to feel what we feel without letting it consume us, about finding the courage to face life's challenges with calmness and clarity. Think of equanimity like a tree in a storm. The wind may blow fiercely, and the rain may fall in torrents, but the tree remains rooted in the ground, standing firm. It doesn't try to resist the storm, nor does it break under the pressure. It simply endures, knowing that the storm will eventually pass. In the same way, when we practice equanimity, we learn to weather the storms of life without being torn apart by them. We find the strength to stand firm in our own inner peace, no matter what challenges come our way. As you go through your day, remember that equanimity is always available to you. It's not something that we need to search for outside of ourselves, but something that we can cultivate through mindful awareness. The next time you feel anxiety creeping in, take a deep breath. Pause. Observe the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the emotions that arise. Let them come and go, without judgment or attachment. And in doing so, you'll begin to experience the freedom that comes from living the middle way. The path to equanimity is a lifelong journey, one that requires practice, patience, and perseverance. But with each step, you will find that your mind becomes clearer, your heart becomes lighter, and your anxiety begins to fade. This is the power of equanimity, the ability to navigate life with grace, wisdom, and inner peace, no matter what the world throws your way. In the end, equanimity isn't just a way of coping with anxiety. It's a way of living with wisdom, compassion, and understanding. It's about finding the balance between accepting life as it is and working towards positive change. It's about embracing the fullness of our experience without being swept away by it. And it's about learning to live each moment with a sense of calm and clarity, knowing that, no matter what, we can find peace within ourselves. So, take a moment right now to check in with yourself. How does your mind feel? Are you holding on to any attachments or expectations that are causing you stress or anxiety? If so, remember that the middle way is always available to you. Take a deep breath, release the tension, and embrace the calm that comes with equanimity. You have the power to create a life of balance, peace, and wisdom, one moment at a time. Reframing the self. Who are you without the story? There is a deep question that each of us must face in our lives, often without realizing it. Who are you, really? And more importantly, who are you without the story you've been telling yourself all these years? Most of us live with a narrative in our minds. We tell ourselves stories about who we are, what we've been through, and where we are headed. These stories form the foundation of our identity, and they shape the way we experience the world. But here's the thing. These stories are not who we truly are. They are merely the thoughts and perceptions that we have attached ourselves to over time. In Buddhism, there's a powerful teaching that says, the self is but a collection of thoughts and experiences. What does this mean? It means that the you that you believe yourself to be is simply the result of all the experiences you've had, the choices you've made, and the labels you've adopted. It's not a fixed, permanent thing. It is constantly changing, just like everything else in the universe. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you told yourself, I am this, or I am that? I am a mother. I am a worker. I am a failure. I am successful. We create these labels based on what has happened in our lives, and then we start to identify with them. We become attached to these labels, and they begin to define us. But if we take a step back, we might realize that these labels are just fleeting aspects of our lives, not our true essence. The truth is, you are not your past. You are not your successes or failures. You are not the roles you play, or the things you've done. You are simply a human being, existing in this moment, experiencing life as it unfolds. Your story is just one part of who you are, and it doesn't need to define you. Let me share a simple example to illustrate this. Imagine a river flowing gently through a forest. The water is constantly moving, and it passes through many different landscapes, rocky paths, calm meadows, and dense forests. The water doesn't get stuck in one place. It doesn't hold on to the rocks or the trees. It simply moves forward, letting go of each moment as it flows into the next. Now, think of your story like that river. It's always moving, always changing. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's rough, but it never stays the same. If you hold on to the rocks of your past, the worries about the future, or the labels you've placed on yourself, you're only blocking the natural flow of your life. You're standing still in a world that's constantly moving forward. This is where the power of reframing the self comes in. When you let go of the need to define yourself by your story, you open yourself up to new possibilities. You begin to see yourself not as a collection of past experiences, but as a fluid, dynamic being with endless potential. The more you practice letting go of the labels, the freer you become. In Buddhism, this practice is known as non-attachment. It's not about rejecting your past or your experiences. It's about recognizing that they don't have to define who you are in this moment. You can learn from them, grow from them, but you don't have to cling to them. You can choose to live beyond the story you've been telling yourself. But how do you start? It begins with awareness. Start noticing when you label yourself or when you identify with a certain aspect of your life. Ask yourself, is this really who I am? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself? When you catch yourself in these moments, gently remind yourself that you are not defined by your past, your job, or any role you play. You are simply you, existing in the present moment, free from the constraints of the story. This is where the real freedom lies. The freedom to be who you are, without the pressure of living up to a story that no longer serves you. It's a freedom that comes from letting go of the need to be anything other than what you already are. And when you experience that freedom, anxiety begins to lose its grip on you. The more you let go of the need to define yourself, the less you will feel the weight of expectations and the fear of failure. Now, imagine if you could live every day without clinging to a past identity, without worrying about the future, and without the constant need to prove yourself. What would that feel like? Wouldn't it be a relief to just be, without the anxiety of having to become something or someone else? This is the essence of reframing the self. It's about stepping away from the stories that have held you captive and embracing the simplicity of just being who you are. In doing so, you create space for peace to enter your life. You create space for the present moment to unfold without the interference of past worries or future fears. In Buddhism, the idea of letting go of the self is not about denying who you are or erasing your individuality. It's about recognizing that your true nature is not limited to the story you've been telling yourself. Your true nature is vast, timeless, and free from the constraints of your past experiences. The more you practice this, the more you begin to realize that anxiety doesn't come from who you are. It comes from the attachment to the stories you tell yourself about who you think you should be. When you can release those stories, you create room for peace and calm to enter your mind. So, who are you really? You are not the person you think you are. You are simply a being, experiencing life in its fullest form. And when you let go of the need to define yourself by the story, you discover a deeper truth, that you are already complete, just as you are. Mindfulness as the sword that cuts anxiety. In the midst of our daily lives, we often find ourselves caught in the storm of thoughts, worries, and expectations. The mind races from one thing to another, never settling, always looking for something more. This restless state can create a sense of anxiety that seems to grow with every passing moment. But what if there was a way to stop this cycle, to find peace in the chaos? There is a tool, a practice, that can help us do just that. It's called mindfulness. Mindfulness is more than just paying attention. It's about being fully present in the moment, without judgment or distraction. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting in a quiet room, just breathing. No rush, no pressure, just the sensation of the air moving in and out of your lungs. Your thoughts come and go, but you don't get caught up in them. You notice them, acknowledge them, but you don't let them control you. This is mindfulness in action. When anxiety begins to rise, it's easy to feel like it's taking over. The mind floods with thoughts of what could go wrong, of all the things you might have missed, or all the mistakes you fear you've made. But mindfulness allows you to step outside that flow of thought. It gives you the ability to observe your thoughts from a distance, like watching clouds pass in the sky. You don't have to engage with every single cloud. Some will drift away on their own. In the same way, not every anxious thought requires your attention. By simply being present, you allow those thoughts to come and go without attaching meaning or fear to them. This practice is powerful, not because it makes the thoughts disappear, but because it helps you change your relationship with them. Instead of being swept away by your thoughts, you stand firm, grounded in the present moment. It's as if you've become the stillness in the storm. The more you practice mindfulness, the easier it becomes to detach from the mind's endless chatter. You realize that you don't have to be at the mercy of every anxious thought. You can let them pass by without getting caught up in their drama. Let me share a simple example. Imagine you are at work, facing a tight deadline. The pressure builds, and you start to feel overwhelmed. Your mind begins to race. What if you don't finish on time? What if your boss is disappointed? The anxiety rises, but instead of spiraling into fear, you take a moment to pause. You close your eyes for a second, take a deep breath, and just feel the sensation of your body in the chair. You notice the weight of your feet on the ground, the air in your lungs, the simple act of breathing. For just a moment, you stop thinking about the deadline, the expectations, and the anxiety. You are simply present. This doesn't solve everything in an instant, but it does bring you back to center. It allows you to take a step back from the chaos of your thoughts and see things for what they truly are. In that moment, the anxiety loses its power. It no longer controls you. The practice of mindfulness has helped you cut through the fog of fear and return to a place of calm. The beauty of mindfulness is that it doesn't require any special conditions or tools. You don't need to be in a quiet, serene place to practice it. You can bring mindfulness into any moment of your life, no matter how busy or chaotic it might seem. Whether you're standing in line at the grocery store, driving in traffic, or sitting in a meeting, you can choose to be present. You can choose to notice the world around you, without being consumed by the thoughts running through your head. This simple act of being present, of noticing what's happening right now, can transform your experience and bring you peace. One of the key aspects of mindfulness is the awareness that everything is temporary. Thoughts, feelings, and even anxiety are not permanent. They come and go like waves in the ocean. When we are caught in a wave, it feels as though it will never end, but eventually it crashes and disappears. In the same way, when anxiety arises, it too will pass. It's easy to forget this when we are caught in the grip of fear, but mindfulness helps us remember that all things, even the hardest moments, are temporary. This doesn't mean you ignore your feelings or try to suppress them. Rather, mindfulness invites you to acknowledge your feelings without becoming overwhelmed by them. It allows you to feel what you are feeling without letting it define you. You can experience anxiety without being consumed by it. You can notice fear without letting it take over. This is the essence of mindfulness, to be fully present with what is happening right now, without judgment or resistance. In Buddhist teachings, mindfulness is often referred to as the practice of right awareness. It's not just about being aware, but being aware in the right way, without attachment, without aversion, and with a sense of compassion for yourself. The more you practice this form of awareness, the more you begin to see how much control you actually have over your experience. You begin to realize that your thoughts and feelings do not define you. You are not your anxiety. You are not your fears. You are the one who witnesses them, the one who can choose how to respond. This shift in perspective is profound. It's the difference between being dragged along by the current of your thoughts and standing on the shore, watching the waves with a sense of calm. With mindfulness, you realize that you don't have to be swept away by anxiety. You can stand firm, grounded in the present moment, knowing that all things are temporary and peace is always within reach. Mindfulness is the sword that cuts through anxiety, not by eliminating it, but by changing the way we relate to it. It helps us see that we are not powerless in the face of our fears. We are not at the mercy of our thoughts. By practicing mindfulness, we reclaim our power to choose how we respond, to find peace in the midst of chaos, and to break free from the cycle of anxiety. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you will find that it becomes easier to return to the present moment, no matter what life throws your way. You will learn to trust that peace is always available, that it's always within you. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to find that stillness, that calm, that space between your thoughts where anxiety no longer holds sway. So, the next time anxiety arises, try this simple practice. Take a deep breath, pause, and simply be present. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, the feelings that arise. Don't try to change anything. Just observe. And in that moment, you may find that the anxiety begins to lose its grip. You may find that you are, in fact, okay, right here, right now. Mindfulness is not a quick fix, but it is a powerful tool for cutting through the fog of anxiety and returning to a place of peace. With practice, it becomes your sword against the restless mind, a way to stay grounded in the present moment, and a path to true freedom from anxiety. Compassion is an antidote to inner turmoil. In the quiet moments of life, when everything around us seems to be swirling with confusion, there is one powerful tool that we often forget to use: compassion. It's easy to get caught up in our own worries, our struggles, and our anxieties. We become so focused on our inner turmoil that we forget this simple yet profound truth. When we open our hearts to others, when we allow ourselves to feel compassion, it can heal us in ways we never imagined. Compassion is not just about feeling sorry for someone else. It is about understanding their pain, sharing in their suffering, and recognizing that we are all part of the same human experience. It's about recognizing that, just like us, others are struggling with their own fears, doubts, and anxieties. When we open ourselves to this understanding, it's as if a weight is lifted from our own hearts. We stop seeing ourselves as isolated beings, trapped in our own struggles, and instead begin to see the interconnectedness of all life. The Buddha taught that suffering is a part of life. It's not something that we can escape, but it is something that we can learn to understand and overcome. One of the most powerful ways to overcome suffering is through the practice of compassion. When we practice compassion, we are not just helping others, we are also helping ourselves. We are releasing the grip of self-centered thoughts and allowing ourselves to connect with the world around us in a more meaningful way. In our modern world, it's easy to become wrapped up in our own problems. We think, if I just had more time, more money, or fewer responsibilities, then everything would be better. But these thoughts are only a distraction from the true source of peace. True peace does not come from external circumstances. It comes from within. And one of the quickest ways to find that inner peace is by turning our attention to others. Think about the last time you helped someone, even in a small way. Perhaps you listened to a friend who was going through a tough time, or you gave someone a smile when they looked down. In that moment, did you notice how good it felt? Did you feel a sense of warmth in your heart, a softening of the tight grip of worry and fear? That feeling is the power of compassion at work. When we practice compassion, we begin to see the world differently. We no longer see people as obstacles or threats, but as fellow travelers on the journey of life. We understand that they, too, are struggling. And in that understanding, we find a deep sense of connection that brings peace to our hearts. Compassion allows us to step outside of our own narrow perspective and see the bigger picture. When we stop focusing solely on our own problems, we begin to recognize the pain and suffering of others. And when we respond to that pain with kindness and understanding, we are not only helping them but also healing ourselves. But compassion is not just a passive feeling. It's an active practice. It requires us to go beyond just thinking about others' suffering. It calls us to do something about it. It could be as simple as offering a kind word, lending a helping hand, or just being there for someone in their time of need. These small acts of kindness have a profound impact, not only on the people we help but also on our own hearts. In Buddhism, there is a practice known as metta, or loving-kindness meditation, which is designed to cultivate compassion. In this practice, we send loving thoughts to ourselves, to others, and even to those we may find difficult. The goal is not to simply feel compassion but to actively cultivate it, to make it a part of who we are. When we do this, we begin to notice a shift in our own mindset. We feel less anxious, less fearful, and more connected to the world around us. Imagine what it would be like if we all practiced compassion more consistently. If, instead of judging others, we truly understood their pain and reached out to help them. If, instead of worrying about our own problems, we focused on the well-being of others. It's easy to get caught up in our own struggles, but when we turn our attention outward, we find that the world is full of opportunities to be kind, to be helpful, and to make a difference. Compassion is the antidote to the fear and anxiety that so often plague our minds. When we focus on others, we stop worrying about ourselves. And in that shift, we find peace. The Buddha taught that true freedom comes not from escaping suffering, but from embracing it with compassion. When we learn to be kind to ourselves and to others, we discover that suffering loses its grip on us. We realize that, while pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. One of the most beautiful aspects of compassion is that it is not limited by time, space, or circumstance. It can be offered to anyone, anywhere, at any time. You don't have to be in a specific place or have a particular set of skills to practice compassion. All you need is an open heart and a willingness to help. Whether you're offering a smile to a stranger, a listening ear to a friend, or just a quiet moment of presence to someone in need, every act of compassion counts. When we practice compassion, we begin to create a ripple effect. Our small acts of kindness inspire others to do the same. And soon, we find ourselves surrounded by a community of people who are all dedicated to helping each other. This is the power of compassion. It has the ability to transform not only our own lives but the lives of those around us. But perhaps the most profound aspect of compassion is that it helps us to release the grip of fear. Anxiety thrives in the darkness of isolation and self-centered thoughts. But when we open our hearts to others, when we connect with them in a meaningful way, the darkness begins to lift. The more we practice compassion, the more we realize that we are not alone in our struggles. We are all in this together. And in that realization, we find peace. Compassion teaches us that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to struggle. When we allow ourselves to feel compassion, we are acknowledging our shared humanity. We are saying, I see you, I understand you, and I am here for you. And in that simple act of kindness, we heal ourselves. The practice of compassion is not something that we need to wait for a special moment to begin. It can be done in the simplest of ways, in the smallest of gestures. You don't need to wait until you feel ready to be compassionate. You can start right now, with the person next to you, or even with yourself. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, contributes to the healing of the world and the healing of our hearts. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed with anxiety, remember this: the antidote is not to fight the fear, but to open your heart to others. When you practice compassion, you are not only easing their suffering, you are easing your own. You are creating a space of peace, a space where anxiety has no place to grow. In the end, compassion is not just a tool to end anxiety. It is a way of life, a way of seeing the world with love and understanding. When we embrace this practice, we create a world that is not ruled by fear, but by kindness, connection, and peace. Letting go, The practice of surrender in daily life. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves holding on to our fears, our worries, and our need for control. We clutch tightly to the belief that we must manage everything, keep it all together, and fix every problem that comes our way. We think that if we don't, everything will fall apart. This is the way most of us live, carrying a burden of anxiety on our shoulders, not realizing that the weight we feel comes from our unwillingness to let go. But what if, instead of holding on, we could learn to let go? What if, instead of desperately trying to control everything, we could simply surrender to life as it unfolds? What if we stopped resisting what is, and simply allowed things to be as they are? This doesn't mean we give up or become passive. It means we stop fighting against the natural flow of life. Letting go is one of the most powerful and liberating practices in Buddhism. It is the practice of surrendering our need for control and trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to. This doesn't mean we abandon our responsibilities or stop taking action when needed. It means we release the fear and anxiety that come from believing that we must control everything. It means we stop living in constant worry about what might happen and start embracing the present moment with openness and acceptance. When we let go, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional weight that keeps us trapped in a cycle of anxiety. We stop trying to predict the future, fix the past, and control every outcome. We begin to trust that everything is unfolding as it should, even if it's not in the way we expected. This trust in the process of life allows us to experience peace, even in the midst of uncertainty. The idea of letting go can feel scary at first. Our minds are conditioned to believe that we need to control everything in order to be safe, in order to feel secure. But this belief is an illusion. We cannot control the future. We cannot control the actions of others. We cannot control every little detail of our lives. When we try, we only create more suffering for ourselves. Imagine, for a moment, what it would be like to let go. Imagine not waking up every morning with a feeling of dread, wondering what will go wrong today. Imagine not carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, feeling like everything is your responsibility. Imagine being able to take a deep breath, release the tension in your body, and just allow things to be as they are, without resistance. This is the essence of letting go. It's not about becoming passive or indifferent. It's about releasing the grip of anxiety and fear, and allowing life to unfold naturally. It's about trusting that you don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to control every outcome. All you need to do is show up and be present. In Buddhism, there is a concept known as non-attachment. This doesn't mean we stop caring about the things that matter to us. It doesn't mean we detach from our relationships, our work, or our passions. It simply means we stop clinging to these things in a way that creates suffering. We stop believing that our happiness depends on them. When we are attached, we become fearful of losing what we love. But when we let go of attachment, we allow ourselves to experience the fullness of life without fear or anxiety. Think about a time in your life when you were holding on to something, perhaps a relationship, a goal, or a situation that caused you pain or anxiety. You may have found yourself desperately trying to control the outcome, unable to let go of your desire for things to be a certain way. How did that feel? Did it bring you peace? Or did it create more stress and frustration? Now, think about a time when you let go of something, when you surrendered to the natural flow of life. Maybe it was a decision you made to stop forcing something that wasn't working. Or perhaps it was a moment when you stopped resisting what was happening and allowed yourself to simply be. How did that feel? Did it bring a sense of relief? Did it bring a sense of peace? This is the power of letting go. When we stop holding on so tightly, we create space for peace to enter our lives. We allow ourselves to trust that life will unfold as it is meant to, even if we don't have all the answers. But letting go is not always easy. It's a practice, and like any practice, it takes time and patience. We may slip back into old habits of control and fear, but the key is to notice when we do and gently return to the practice of surrender. Every time we let go, we free ourselves a little more from the grip of anxiety and fear. One of the most beautiful aspects of Buddhism is its emphasis on mindfulness, the practice of being present in the moment. When we are mindful, we are able to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. We can see our anxiety for what it is, a passing feeling, not something that defines us. And in that space, we can choose to let go. It's important to remember that letting go does not mean we abandon our responsibilities. It means we stop carrying the unnecessary burden of worry. We do what we can, and then we let go of the need to control the outcome. We take action when needed, but we release the anxiety that comes from trying to control every detail. Think about how much energy you spend every day trying to control things, worrying about what others think, stressing over things that may never happen, or obsessing over past mistakes. What would happen if you allowed yourself to release some of that energy, if you could trust that things will unfold as they're meant to? How much lighter would you feel? Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop carrying the burden of anxiety and fear that comes from trying to control everything. It means we choose peace over worry, presence over anxiety. It means we trust that, no matter what happens, we will be okay. When you begin to practice letting go, you'll notice a shift in your life. You'll find that the things that once caused you anxiety no longer have the same power over you. You'll become more present, more peaceful, and more at ease with the uncertainties of life. This is the power of surrender. It's the practice of letting go, of releasing our attachment to control, and allowing life to unfold as it will. And in that surrender, we find the peace we have been seeking all along. Building an anxiety-resilient mind through noble habits. Imagine waking up every day with a deep sense of peace, regardless of the noise and chaos outside. Your mind feels calm, steady, and resilient, and you carry that inner peace with you wherever you go. It's as though nothing can disturb your center, and no matter how much life challenges you, you remain unaffected by the turbulence. You have found a way to keep anxiety at bay. This is the power of cultivating noble habits, simple, yet profound practices that strengthen your mind and protect you from the anxious thoughts that so often consume us. It's easy to feel like anxiety is something we have to endure, like it's a constant companion that will never leave us. But the truth is, anxiety is not permanent. It comes and goes. And by practicing mindfulness and developing inner strength, we can build resilience against it. We often think of habits as small actions we do daily, like brushing our teeth or checking our phones. But there are habits of the mind, two mental patterns that we develop over time, many of which keep us trapped in anxiety. These are habits of worry, overthinking, and constant self-judgment. We replay past mistakes, imagine worst-case scenarios, and fear the unknown. These habits, if left unchecked, create a loop of stress and tension, making it harder for us to find peace. But what if you could replace these unhelpful mental habits with ones that promote calmness and clarity? What if you could train your mind to focus on the present moment, let go of unnecessary worry, and cultivate a deep sense of acceptance? In Buddhism, there is a teaching about cultivating right habits or noble habits known as sila in Pali. These are actions, thoughts, and behaviors that are in line with our highest values, which lead us towards peace and liberation. When we build these habits, we begin to rewire our brains and strengthen our ability to handle life's challenges with grace. One powerful habit to cultivate is mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just a practice, it's a way of being. It's about paying attention to the present moment without judgment, without trying to change or control it. When you become truly mindful, you stop fighting your thoughts and emotions. Instead, you simply observe them, allowing them to arise and pass without attaching to them. This creates a space of calm between you and your anxious thoughts. You stop being controlled by your mind, and instead, you take the reins and direct your focus. When we practice mindfulness regularly, it strengthens our capacity to stay grounded in the present. We stop letting our minds wander to places of worry and fear. We begin to notice the beauty of the world around us, the simple pleasures of life, and the joy that can be found in each moment. Another noble habit is developing compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. How often do we criticize ourselves for not being perfect, for making mistakes, or for feeling anxious? Self-criticism only deepens anxiety, creating a sense of shame and insecurity. Instead, try treating yourself with the same kindness you would show a friend. When you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, speak to yourself with compassion. It's okay to feel this way. I'm doing my best, and that's enough. Self-compassion allows us to embrace our imperfections and accept ourselves as we are. It reminds us that we don't need to be perfect in order to be worthy of love and peace. We can be flawed, we can struggle, and still, we are deserving of kindness and understanding. Another essential habit for overcoming anxiety is the practice of gratitude. When we focus on what we're grateful for, our minds shift from a state of lack to one of abundance. We begin to see the good in our lives, even in the midst of challenges. Gratitude helps us keep perspective, reminding us that there is always something to be thankful for, whether it's the warmth of the sun, a kind word from a loved one, or the simple fact that we're alive today. Building gratitude into your daily life can transform your mindset. Start each day by reflecting on 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how small they may seem. This practice helps shift your focus away from anxiety and onto the positive aspects of your life. It's a powerful way to retrain your mind to see the world through a lens of abundance, not scarcity. One of the most important habits to cultivate is the practice of acceptance. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be things beyond our control. We cannot control the weather, the actions of others, or the course of events, but we can control how we respond. When we practice acceptance, we stop fighting reality. We stop resisting what is. Instead, we embrace it as it is, knowing that we can handle whatever comes our way. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to suffering. It means letting go of the need to control everything, and instead, trusting that we have the inner strength to face whatever challenges arise. When we accept the present moment as it is, without judgment or resistance, we create a sense of peace and ease within ourselves. The habit of letting go is also key to building resilience against anxiety. We tend to hold on to our thoughts, emotions, and experiences, even when they no longer serve us. We carry past regrets, hurts, and worries about the future like heavy burdens. Letting go means releasing these attachments and freeing ourselves from the weight of the past. It's about learning to forgive both ourselves and others, and allowing ourselves to move forward with a lighter heart. In Buddhism, there is a practice known as detachment. Detachment doesn't mean not caring, it means not allowing ourselves to be controlled by our desires, fears, or attachments. When we let go of the need to cling to things, we create space for peace and freedom. Another powerful habit is regular meditation. Meditation is the practice of sitting in stillness, observing the thoughts and sensations that arise, and allowing them to pass without attachment. Meditation helps to quiet the mind, reduce stress, and cultivate inner peace. Through meditation, we learn to be with our thoughts without becoming overwhelmed by them. We become more aware of our mental patterns and can begin to shift them, replacing anxiety with calm. The beauty of meditation is that it doesn't require any special equipment or knowledge. All you need is a quiet space and a few minutes each day to sit and breathe. With practice, you'll notice that your mind becomes less scattered, and you begin to experience a sense of peace that stays with you long after you finish your practice. Finally, the habit of living in alignment with your values is essential for building an anxiety-resilient mind. When we live in harmony with our true self, we feel more at peace. Anxiety often arises when we feel disconnected from who we truly are, or when we are living in a way that doesn't reflect our deepest values. By identifying what truly matters to you, whether it's love, kindness, honesty, or peace, you can make decisions that bring you closer to a life of fulfillment. Living in alignment with your values helps you feel grounded, focused, and confident. It provides clarity in moments of doubt and gives you the strength to navigate life's challenges without being overwhelmed by anxiety. Incorporating these noble habits into your daily life may not happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistency. But with each small step, you'll begin to notice a shift in your mind. Anxiety will no longer have the same grip on you. You'll begin to feel stronger, more centered, and more at peace. The journey towards an anxiety-resilient mind is not about perfection, it's about progress. Each habit you cultivate, each moment of mindfulness, each act of kindness towards yourself, brings you closer to the peace that you deserve. The one thought revisited, a peace that endures. Imagine for a moment, a world where you no longer feel trapped by anxiety. A place where you can sit quietly, free from the endless cycle of worry and doubt. Picture yourself moving through each day with a deep sense of calm, unaffected by the chaos around you. The weight of your thoughts, which once held you down, is now light. There is peace, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. But how do you hold on to this peace when life keeps throwing challenges your way? How do you remain centered when the world outside is anything but peaceful? It's not enough to experience inner peace once and think that it will last forever. The truth is, peace requires practice. It's something you must nurture every day. In the past, we've explored how one thought can end anxiety. That thought is simple, yet profoundly powerful. This too shall pass. This thought, when applied, can free you from the grip of anxiety and help you return to the present moment where peace resides. But as we've learned, it's not just about the thought itself. It's about living it. When anxiety comes, it's a signal that something in your mind is out of balance. It's a reminder that you've drifted away from the present moment and have let your thoughts take control. The "this too shall pass" thought is a gentle nudge back to reality. It's a reminder that all things, including feelings of anxiety, are temporary. They arise, they stay for a while, and then they pass. Nothing lasts forever, and neither will this moment of unease. But there's another layer to this. It's not just about recognizing that anxiety will pass. It's also about recognizing that your response to it is what truly matters. It's about choosing how to relate to your thoughts and emotions. And this is where Buddhist wisdom offers a profound lesson: detachment. When we become attached to our thoughts, when we believe that our emotions define us, we give them power over us. We let anxiety control the narrative of our lives. But detachment doesn't mean suppression or denial. It means letting go of the need to control, to hold on to every fleeting thought or feeling. It's about acknowledging the anxiety, observing it, but not allowing it to dictate your actions or your state of mind. Imagine watching your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky. They come and go, but you remain grounded. You don't chase after them or try to make them stay. You simply watch them pass by, knowing that just like the weather, your emotions are ever-changing. When you realize this, anxiety starts to lose its grip on you. It no longer has the power to shake you because you know it will pass. Now, let's talk about the greatest obstacle to inner peace: our attachment to the past and future. When we worry, we are either dwelling on something that has already happened or fearing something that might happen. In both cases, we're not living in the present. We're not experiencing life as it is right now. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from craving for things to be different, craving for things to stay the same, or craving things that we don't have. The solution isn't to deny these cravings, but to understand them. When we release the need to control everything, we let go of the grip that anxiety has on us. We stop fighting with life. One of the most powerful ways to reconnect with the present moment is through mindfulness. Being mindful means paying attention to what's happening right now, without judgment. It's about noticing the simple things: the feeling of your breath entering and leaving your body, the sensation of your feet on the ground, the sounds around you. By grounding yourself in these small moments, you begin to break free from the grip of anxious thoughts. But mindfulness is not just something you practice once in a while. It's a way of living. It's an ongoing commitment to being present, no matter what comes your way. And as you practice, you start to notice something incredible. You're not as affected by anxiety anymore. You don't become your anxiety. You are simply the observer, watching it without attachment. Another key to ending anxiety is compassion, both for yourself and others. Often, we are our own harshest critics. We hold ourselves to impossible standards, and when we fail to meet them, we feel anxiety, shame, or guilt. But what if you could approach yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend? What if, instead of berating yourself for feeling anxious, you offered yourself compassion? Buddhism teaches that compassion is the antidote to suffering. By opening your heart to yourself, by treating yourself with kindness, you create space for peace. You no longer see anxiety as a flaw or weakness, but as a natural part of being human. And through compassion, you can gently ease the discomfort it brings. You may still experience moments of anxiety, and that's okay. The goal is not to eliminate anxiety completely, but to change your relationship with it. When anxiety arises, you now have the tools to recognize it, observe it, and let it pass. You no longer feel controlled by it. Instead, you feel empowered, knowing that it is just one passing thought in the vast ocean of your mind. But here's the secret. You don't need to wait for the anxiety to go away to feel peace. You can feel it right now, in the middle of the storm. Peace doesn't depend on external circumstances. It's always available to you, right here, right now. All it takes is the courage to let go of your attachment to thoughts, to outcomes, and to fears. As we reach the end of this journey together, I invite you to reflect on what you've learned. Think about the power of the simple thought, this too shall pass. Let it become your anchor in moments of anxiety. And when you feel the weight of the world bearing down on you, remember this: you are not your thoughts. You are the observer. You are the calm in the storm. In the end, it's not about eliminating anxiety or fear. It's about finding peace within yourself, regardless of what life throws at you. By embracing the wisdom of Buddhism and applying it to your daily life, you unlock a peace that endures, a peace that is not shaken by the winds of change but remains steady and true. So, as you go forward, take this one thought with you: this too shall pass. And let that be the key to unlocking a life of true peace and freedom from anxiety.